Okay, thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. All right, we're back. We just finished a work session, just wrapped one up, and I'm sorry we're a couple minutes late for our regular session, but this is the regular session of the Poquoson City Council from Monday, March 12th. If you'd all please rise, I'll lead you in the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and for the many blessings we have received in our city. As we move forward on various issues this evening, guide us. As we serve the community in the coming days, strengthen us to do what is right, and Lord, we especially ask that we stay mindful of those in need. Tonight again, we ask for your blessing and presence, that it be felt by those who serve our country, as well as those public safety employees who serve our nation, our state, and our city. Guide and protect them, and bring comfort to their families as they protect all of us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, very pleased this evening to start off with a special presentation, and Mr. Travis Redmond, if you can join me there at the podium, I would appreciate that. Let's see. I moved all my stuff, Dave. No. Travis, welcome. And for those that are joining us from home, I will tell you that this is a very high honor and something that we certainly in our city want to recognize. Travis Redmond here has received the President's Volunteer Service Award for his service within our city, but also within our country. Travis has served almost 400 hours to the community while in high school, and has earned 2 President's Volunteer Service Medals. He's getting lots of hardware here this evening, ladies and gentlemen. All right, lots of hardware. I feel like I'm at the Olympics. But the President's Volunteer Service Award recognizes United States citizens who have achieved the required number of hours in service over a 12-month period based on age. In 2016, Travis earned the bronze medal by volunteering 115 hours to the community. He led his Boy Scout Eagle project at the Poquoson Museum, as well as serving his church. Tabernacle United Methodist Church was the church that was served, and it was served in many capacities. This included a mission trip to West Virginia, serving as an acolyte, parking for the Seafood Festival and Trunk or Treat. In 2017, Travis went on to earn the gold medal by volunteering an additional 250 hours to the community. He served Tabernacle UMC on a mission trip to Tennessee, as well as parking for the Seafood Festival. He was a junior coach for the K-Next camp at the Peninsula Workforce Development Center. Additionally, he spent the summer as a NASA research at the NASA Langley Research Center in the Additive Manufacturing Laboratory, where he gained invaluable experience. Travis here is only a junior at Poquoson High School and plans to attend New Horizons in the fall. He's also a Life Scout and an Eagle Scout. With that said, I'll read the letter from our president. Congratulations on receiving the President's Volunteer Service Award. On behalf of a grateful nation, I thank you for your service to your fellow Americans and those most in need. Through your dedicated service, you have ensured the continuation of America's unparalleled commitment to improving the lives of others. Over this past year, you have served as a model of the American spirit. Your many hours of service have strengthened the bonds of cooperation and trust that bring people together while helping to address some of the greatest challenges of our time. One of our nation's greatest strengths remains the compassion of our everyday citizens, who give so willingly of themselves and the lives for the benefit of others. Each generation of hardworking and kind-hearted volunteers helps to write a new chapter of American greatness, and our nation is proud for your commitment to this honorable tradition. As we reflect on your many acts of kindness and charity over this past year, our nation draws inspiration from those who answer the call to help their communities and our nation. With your continued efforts to build on our nation's culture of service, America will proudly remain a land of freedom and opportunity for all. Thank you for your enduring commitment to serving your community and our nation. I trust that you will continue to work for the betterment of others and an even stronger future for the American people. Signed, Donald J. Trump. Very impressive award, and like I said, lots of hardware. This is the bronze medal from 2016, and Travis, I'll let you have that. And this is the gold medal from this year, along with the certificate to you, Travis. The congratulations of your city from us. Thank you for everything that you've done. Okay, would you like to speak?
Sure. Well, I'd just like to thank the people that I've helped in the past and also the people that I'm going to help in the future. And I'd like to thank my parents for helping me out through these adventures and the community for being as great as they are. So, thank you.
Thank you, and I bet council would like to shake your hand if you'll go around the front.
Congratulations.
Okay, Randy, I did mine. What have you got?
Mr. Mayor, I can't really trump that. However, it is my privilege to be part of recognizing two of our newest employees. Their supervisors are here, so as usual, I'll recognize their department head who will introduce their employee. First up is Fire Chief Robert Holloway, who will introduce his newest employee.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Mr. Manager.
Good to see you, Chief.
Good to see you, too. This evening, it's my pleasure to introduce to you our new office manager, Miss Emily Bond.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Chief. It's an honor to be here before City Council tonight. Thanks for having me. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I'm from the city of Hampton. I was born and raised there. I still currently reside there with my husband, Matthew, and we have two daughters. I have a daughter who's a junior at Christopher Newport and another daughter who's a senior at Kickingham High School who will be attending Radford in the fall, so we're excited about that. My husband's a sergeant with the Hampton Police Division, so I'm very familiar with public service. I'm looking forward to the opportunity of growing and learning. Chief has given me previous opportunities part-time with the city of Poquoson, so I'm really looking forward to that. I was immediately recognized the professionalism and the kindness throughout the city of Poquoson, and it's a pleasure working here, and I'm looking forward to growing. Thank you so much.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And good luck keeping that bunch straight.
They're fun to work with.
They are a good bunch, but
Everybody's got a cross to bear.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Second, our Commissioner of the Revenue, Jeff Sylvia, will introduce his newest employee.
Honorable Mayor and council members, thank you for having me here. My name is Jeffrey Sylvia, the Commissioner of Revenue, and I'm pleased to announce our new employee, Donna Ward.
welcome, Donna.
Thank you. I don't know if I can say as much as she did, but I grew up in Poquoson. You know, I've been a banker for 30 years, and it's just a pleasure to be here and be able to work in and for the citizens of Poquoson, my hometown. So, thank you. Thanks for the
Well, thank
opportunity.
you, and Jeff, I don't want you to get away either. I think that this is the first time we've seen you since you have taken the title of Commissioner, unless I was off a meeting.
We're off the one.
Okay, but welcome to you as well.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
so thank you very much for your service to us.
That's all we have, sir.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is an audience for visitors. This is a time if somebody in council chambers would like to address city council on any issue. We have no public hearing, so this is your time to speak. Okay, seeing none, I'll close the audience for visitors and ask council for consideration of the minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve our minutes of the regular session of February 12th, 2018 as amended.
Second.
A motion made and seconded that we approve the regular session minutes of February 12th. Any questions or comments? Not, Evie, please.
Councilwoman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Canella?
Aye.
Councilman Southall?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman?
Aye.
Councilman Hucks?
Aye.
Councilman Green?
Aye.
And Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
New business section of the meeting this evening, resolution accepting streets and improvements into the Victory Cove subdivision into our city's transportation system.
Mr.
Randy?
Mayor, I'd like to ask our Director of Community Development, Wally Horton, to come forward and briefly summarize this. I'd also point out that Mont Myers is here if you have a question. I'm sure he'd be glad to answer it for you.
Thank you. Good evening. I think it's my first time talking to y'all, so this is good. This is a request to take in Pickens and Shoreline Drive into the default period and on its route to city acceptance. This was inspected as recently as November 27th and had a few exceptions on it. As of January 30th, I was notified by Mark Poquoson, construction inspector, that all those issues had been taken care of. You'll find in your materials, besides my memo, a description of the streets and the links that will be taken into the city system, as well as the bond amount of $74,247.91 that will be kept during the default period, which is 2 years. Other than that, as we move through the default period, sometime between 60 and 90 days before that 2-year period is up, Mr. Poquoson will go out and do another inspection, a final inspection, to make sure everything is as it should be, and that's why we hold the default bond in case we have to make any last-minute changes. And I'll be happy to take any questions you have.
Any questions of council? Thank you.
Yeah, well,
Oh, you do?
I do have one, Gene.
Okay, go ahead.
By keeping the bond on for the next 2 years, should there be a problem with drainage such that the water draining off to the streets into the side drain and so forth, if that's not sufficient and doesn't meet design criteria, will that bond remain to take care of that?
That bond would be used to correct those problems, any problems having to do with the street. We felt, and looking back over it, $74,000 is actually quite a bit of money to hold back compared to what the Community Development Department seems to have done in the past. But obviously, if it's not going to be enough, we'll need to get money. The city will not be liable for that. The developer would have to handle that within that period.
Okay, I would like to make certain that money does stay in place. In the past, there have been new developments that did not meet design criteria that failed, and the bonds were gone, and the funds weren't there to fix it.
Understood. We will definitely hold it.
Thank you.
Anything else? If not, I'll tell you, I'm real excited about this. I've noticed, this development's on my way home, and I've noticed one thing about this development, and that they quickly became a neighborhood within the city of Poquoson. They're very engaged down there in their neighborhood, and really look forward to having them in our city. So thank you very much. Is there a motion that we proceed with this?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt a resolution accepting certain streets and subdivision improvements in the Victory Cove subdivision into the city of Poquoson transportation system.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded that we accept this road into our streets and things. And by the way, Bud, there's one additional benefit. When we accept it, we start collecting lane miles from the state for maintenance in the future as well.
Very good.
So it's a win-win for the city, actually. All right, Evie, please.
Yes, sir. Councilman Canella?
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Green?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman?
Aye.
Councilman Southall?
Aye.
Councilman Hucks?
Aye.
Mayor Hunt?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, very good. Next item under new business this evening is an ordinance making appropriations and transfers for fiscal year 2017 and 18 to support the Poquoson Museum and the Poquoson Historical Commission in conducting the World War I and World War II Living History event. Randy, who's going to present for this?
Mr. Callis is going to make a brief presentation on behalf of the event. I would note there are folks from the museum here. Should you have a detailed question, this is, I won't say it's similar to last year's event, but it's different in its own right. It's a standalone event. And Mr. Callis even has to share a short video that was prepared by the folks at the museum. David?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor Hunt, members of council. Staff is pleased to come before you tonight with a brief overview of the Poquoson Museum and the Poquoson Historical Commission's upcoming Living History event and a request on their behalf for the city's support of it. In advance of the request, the museum has asked that I provide a brief video from them which promotes the event. I think we're going to do that. I might have to put on my readers here, folks. There we are. The museum event entitled America Goes to War is part of the statewide initiative to commemorate the 100th anniversary of World War I and the 75th anniversary of World War II, and will be conducted at the Poquoson Museum grounds on May 5th and 6th, 2018. Saturday's events will include static displays and a concert featuring Percy Ironmonger and the members of his Super Jazz Band. Sunday's activities will continue with self-guided tours, reenactor exhibits, and other demonstrations. The site map of the events provided for your review and outlines several programming stations. Reenactors will offer visitors an opportunity to gain an understanding of America's wartime effort, both home front and battlefront perspectives. The static displays and firing demonstrations are also expected. Additionally, a food area, a stage, and an exhibitor area are scheduled to be part of the event. In order to program the event, the organizers are requesting both material and financial support from the City of Poquoson. Community Recreation will provide this material support in the form of canopies, extension cords, coolers, trash boxes, parking signs for the event. As noted on this slide, City financial support is also requested for advertising, chairs, sound and lighting and band, temporary restroom facilities, a generator, and overnight security. The estimated cost associated with these items for the city is $4,172.80. Though the request before you this evening is for 2018 only, the organizers plan to host similar events every spring for the next 3 years as part of the ongoing statewide commemoration. Staff is pleased to provide additional information as needed, and I would also point out that Poquoson Museum and Historical Commission representative Mary Clemens is here this evening as well to address questions regarding both the request and the event.
Any questions from council, or you all ready to proceed with this?
Just one, Dave, I think that the amount you quoted, aren't they asking for 4,173?
Yes, sir, I think that's rounded up. That's the approximate. Yes,
Right.
sir. That is correct.
Okay, I don't think council has any questions in regards to this, since the museum has done a great job in the past with this particular event, and I think we know exactly what this will look like as far as, and the layout's here for us. So is anybody prepared to move forward on the ordinance?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt an ordinance making additional appropriations and transfers for fiscal year 2017 and 18 to support this event.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded that we support this event. We support this event in the amount of $4,173. And questions or comments of council?
Just one question, Gene. It's $4,173, but I thought he said something about half that money was coming from somewhere else, a $2,000 amount. Did I misunderstand that?
Yeah, I think so. Dave, you want to go back through that?
Yes, sir. The $4,173 requested of the city would be the city's portion. I would offer that the museum has offered to pay $250 of the security cost, and I believe have found $800 in support of the band as well. So they've been doing some prospecting and sponsorship gathering themselves.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, Evie, please.
Certainly. Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilman Hucks,
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilman Canella.
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews,
Aye.
and Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
All right, very well. Last item on the agenda here is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Mid-Atlantic Petroleum for the removal and installation of the fuel tank, and the ordinance making those appropriations within this fiscal year. So two pieces of legislation here. One is the resolution, and the other is the ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to recognize both our Finance Director, Tanya O'Connell, and our Public Works Director, Tom Jones. They have been working through the issues pertaining to working to replace and/or repair a 20-year-old tank, and all of the challenges of working with a 20-year-old warranty. With that,
And let's be fair, I'm going to try not to come up here every time to give you problems and having to replace stuff. So hopefully in the future I can bring good news. But this time, it is our fuel tank. In August of 2017, we had 3 police vehicles have to go to the shop. Come to find out, diesel had mixed with gasoline. Initially, we thought they pumped the wrong gas into the wrong tank, vice versa, and that wasn't the case. After Tom realized there was a rust in the tank, we said, let's get it fixed under our warranty. 30-year warranty only covers the material. Material is, give or take, $500. So from that, we went down the option of repairing it, told $1 amount, come to find out it was a higher dollar amount. And so ultimately, we determined we needed to replace the vehicle than spending additional dollars in a tank that might only last us a couple more years. So presented to you today is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Mid-Atlantic Petroleum. We had 3 bidders or proposals for the tank, and they were the lowest bidder, basically. And then with that, we also have an ordinance asking you to move the money from sewer fund to pay for the tank and fleet. Ultimately, through the years, we'll raise our price of gas throughout the organization, so everybody has to pay for it, both general fund, sewer, fleet, and then, of course, schools.
Okay. Tom?
Just here for questions. If I may be able to answer something, I have
All
to
right, so
say it's been a
here's
trying
my
experience.
base question, Tom, and this is really to you. Okay, so it's a metal tank, it's a carbon steel tank, and the fuels today see a lot of water, a lot of water in this tank. Is this tank going to be different and last us the full length of the warranty? We're going to do something to treat the fuels? Because we can't buy a new tank every 18 years.
This tank is actually up to the current fuel standards, taking into consideration of all the additives that have been added since back 20 years ago. Things were a lot different back then. So they've made this tank now to where it's, it should last to 30 years with the information that I've been getting. In a fiber tank, they don't use those for like above ground. They're only below ground tanks because they tend to expand, and by putting them underground, which ours is an above ground tank, they don't use that. There's only two types of tanks that we could have gotten. One was a steel tank like the one we're getting, hopefully we're getting, and the other is a concrete tank. Those are the only two types of tanks that you can put in above ground as of now that meet all the standards that we have to go by.
Yeah, and it's a tank in a tank, and I understand that. That basically, it's a tank that if the inner tank ruptures, then we don't spill fuel everywhere. It just goes in the body of the outer tank.
Exactly. And this is actually the old tank wasn't quite like that. This new tank is like, it's going to be a double-walled inside a larger tank, so it's like kind of triple protection. It's double-walled. Then there's a 6,000 part of it for diesel fuel that's actually double-walled as well. And like I say, this meets all the current standards, OSHA, all the standards of putting in an above-ground tank.
Ain't gonna last.
Or we can go by what the manufacturer says. I mean, this has really been some trials and tribulations, and
I
I've learned a
understand.
lot in this journey of trying to figure,
No,
what
and
is
it's
the
not,
best
it's not
thing
through
for
any
us.
fault of your own, but it's not, it's just the chemistry of it, right? So water, air, and rust. And you're gonna have water in your fuels unless we do something different. So, I was kind of surprised to hear you say that we can't use a fiber tank above ground.
No, I've checked into that. You cannot use a fiber tank. What was explained to me is, if they used a fiber tank above ground, when you fill it full of fuel, it actually expands. Not like, the steel tank stays together, or concrete tank stays together. But if you put a fiber there, it'll blow out, in other words. So that's why they don't use them above ground.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
How long has our current tank been out of service?
It's been almost 7 months. It's been since August.
And that's for all your equipment, the school buses, the police, and the fire, and
All of our
having to
equipment.
drive up to York County?
Yes, sir.
And that costs us time and money as well, so it's a good thing to go ahead and get this thing fixed.
Well, we gotta get it fixed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm all about getting it fixed, and I'm all about getting it fixed post haste. I'm just not wanting to rush into seeing this, the next council and seeing this again, because you didn't even get the warranty period out of the last one.
That is correct.
So you gotta pay attention to that. Buddy?
Tom, given the fact that you're storing two separate fuels in one tank is basically what you're doing. And I understand this one's got a double wall instead of a single wall separating those two fuels. Did you look at all at having two separate tanks? I mean, the problem was you put diesel fuel in a gasoline engine. If you had two separate tanks, at least that couldn't happen.
Well, the way that, and another thing we were trying to do, without going over every little bit, we were trying to put this tank back in the same exact place to save money in that respect. Because really, I mean, this tank that we're speaking of now is really, it's really close, within 15 or 20 feet from the Public Works building. And the other thing that we had to do with this tank, this is a fire guard tank. So what that means is if our building catches on fire, that tank will not explode. I mean, it's made like that. And this new tank, they assured me that, these tanks inside, it's a double wall tank inside another tank. And they say, but I guess they told the previous person when they did the bidding on the first tank, I mean, they probably gave them the same spiel. Wasn't exactly like that, but, I've been assured, and I asked the same question to all three people about, is this going to last? And they assured us that it would. That's all I can go by.
Okay.
One more question, Gene.
Yes,
Are we sure that the mix of the fuels was due to a leakage in between the tanks internally?
It was correct.
Is there any way that you could accidentally put the fuel?
Well, what's happened in the past, and and I guess Tanya, probably I told her this story as well. Before, what happened was, we had this tank, we had the fuel delivered the day before this happened to us, before the fuel went into these vehicles. So I automatically assumed that they put the wrong fuel in the wrong tank. It's happened before. They came back, and I called them right away. I stopped. Once we found out it had happened, I stopped everything right then and there, called our fuel delivery people. I set it up, they came right out, and we've, steadily found out exactly what the problem was. It wasn't that. It was definitely, once we had the tanks pumped out, we actually went down there. I didn't, but they had, I saw a picture of what was the inside of it, and that's another factor to going with a new tank. It looked bad, and they were just going to go in there and actually cut that out and put a patch on it, but they couldn't do it at our compound. They would have to haul it to another state per the manufacturer's warranty on it. So it was a lot of stuff, and I didn't have anything to do with the first, bid on the tank that we have now, but it was definitely not mixing the fuels together. It was a hole came in the tank.
Okay, well, I asked that question specifically because I know in the aviation world, you physically can't put the diesel fuel into the avgas tanks, and you can't put the 100-octane fuel into the 130-octane tanks because the nozzles physically will not fit. And I didn't know if we had that capability.
This tank now is going to be so you can't do that.
Okay.
You will not be able to physically put it in.
So it's going to have, this new tank has a void between the two walls? So you'll be able to see if one tank is leaking?
Well, what you'll probably determine, if one tank does leak in the future, you'll see that tank going down quicker than what expected based on the usage, but it will not mix with the other tank.
So
It's going to be basically in a holding tank within there. It's not going to mix into, so you've got two tanks and then a holding tank for each.
okay.
So
you have
therefore,
a void between, you've got this wall between the two tanks, and you have a void between the two walls, and you have a drain valve or something that if one fuel starts leaking towards the other one.
Well, it would
You'll
have
be
to
able
be
to see
pumped out. You can pump that void out
Okay.
from the top.
So you'll be able to see it before it hurts you the second time.
And what happens is, on these tanks, each one will have a apparatus on top that, when you're not using it, it's just like your water meter. If it's leaking, if that tank goes down, we'll be able to see it going down, just like your water meter shows. So, we've tried to touch all the bases.
I got you. Okay.
It's not a perfect world.
It's not a perfect world. I'm just saying that the materials disappoint me. All right, you don't have any choice. So this isn't we're talking to Public Works and blaming somebody. I mean, we're just asking because I think I see this all the time where I work, which is tanks fail, right?
Gene?
And they're going to fail a whole lot faster when they're carbon steel and they're above ground with water in them. So,
Just one more comment, Kay. On systems similar to that out at NASA, we were able to pressurize the void spaces and put a pressure gauge on it such that if there was a leak to either tank, okay, that the pressurized gas, typically nitrogen gas, would bubble up through whatever fuel and you'd lose the pressure. And so loss of pressure would indicate that you had a leak someplace. And I don't know if that capability exists on this tank, but you might look into that.
that's what I was going to suggest, that you put a nitrogen blanket on your tanks, okay? And keep keep them inert instead of having air. But that might be additional cost, and we'll entertain that later. First is get you a tank. All right, so is anybody prepared to move forward with on the resolution?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Mid-Atlantic Petroleum for removal and installation of fuel tanks.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded that we approve the resolution and authorize our city manager to sign a contract. Any questions or comments? Okay, Evie, please.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
Councilman Hucks,
Aye.
Councilman Canella,
Aye.
Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman,
Aye.
and Mayor Hunt. Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, and the ordinance?
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt an ordinance making additional appropriations and transfers for fiscal year 2017-18 to pay for the tank.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded that we approve the ordinance also. Thank you all both for your time and appreciate it. And again, don't think that we're not after you, okay?
And Mayor, if you could mention, we do appreciate the consideration of York County to allow us to use the tank. that they have.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll do that. In fact, Evie, if you'll prepare a letter for me to them, thanking them for that service.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded on the ordinance. Questions or comments? Seeing none, Evie, please.
Certainly. Councilman Canella,
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Green, Vice Mayor Freeman,
Aye.
Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Councilman Hucks,
Aye.
and Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
All right, comments of the city manager. Randy?
Mr. Mayor, it's been said at least twice before, but I'm going to say it one more time. Just to thank you to York County. We have an extremely good relationship with all of our neighbors, and when we had a need, they were very quick to facilitate that with the hope and expectation that we would move expeditiously to fix this, and we will. And as we move into the future with our new tank, we may even look at how we might continue to help each other in times of need and formalize that a little more.
Okay, very good. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right, Councilman Hucks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 3 items I'd like to comment on.
Okay.
The first of which, I'd like to congratulate Dr. Jennifer Parrish, our school superintendent, for being recognized as the Virginia Region 2 Superintendent of the Year. This in itself is a huge achievement, but it's even more noteworthy when you consider that this is her second recognition as Region 2 Superintendent of the Year in the last 4 years. So she will be competing now against the Superintendents of the Year in the other 7 state regions for the statewide Superintendent of the Year. And also congratulations to Mr. Mike Bryant and the emergency management team for their efforts leading to Poquoson being recognized by the National Weather Service as a storm-ready community. Mr. Bill Samler of the National Weather Service will be attending a council meeting in the near future to present this recognition. And lastly, Poquoson has been recognized by alarms.org as the number 4 out of 37 safest cities in the state of Virginia in 2018. Just to give you a comparison, other localities in the top 5 were Blacksburg being number 1, number 2 being the town of Vienna, number 3, city of Manassas Park, and number 5, another locality close to us, the city of Williamsburg. And I know that Poquoson is routinely among there on the short list at the very top. And thank you to all of our public safety team members that get us to where we are. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Councilman Green.
Just like to remind everybody of the Poquoson Education Foundation 8th Annual Fundraiser, which will be held on Saturday, March the 24th at the Poquoson Yacht Club from 6 to 10. Tickets are $50 a piece, and for that you get a silent and live auction, poker and gaming tables, catered menu including heavy hors d'oeuvres, carving station, mashed potato bar, pasta bar, dessert station, and some adult beverages. So I'd like to see everybody come out and support the Poquoson Education Foundation. Thank you.
With Monopoly money.
Monopoly money, yeah. Okay. We're not bringing the feds down.
Just thought I'd throw that in there. Okay. Councilman Canella.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I've got some congratulations I want to give first to our high school wrestling team who won the state championship this year, and some individuals. Dalton Jones placed 6th at the state tournament, Cole Parks 5th, Jake Williams 4th, Ian Burris 3rd, Colton Hicks 2nd, and Robert Hennessy, Mason Fasala, Patrick and Cole McCormick, and Brett Poltney were all state champions. So I think that is certainly noteworthy. And our swimming team, the girls relay of Morgan Miller, who broke 2 state records as an individual, Taylor O'Connell, Martha Chapazzi, and Hannah Oates placed 6th in their tournament. And our boys team placed 3rd, those members being Jack Graham, Zach Bennett, Matthew Costa, and Shane Scott. So congratulations to those athletes. And a 2016 Poquoson graduate, Ross Graham, who is now wrestling for the apprentice school, who just won a national championship this past weekend. And Mr. Mayor, members of council, my last point is upon conversations with city staff and a number of citizens, I would like to request a work session in our near future to discuss the hiring of a school resource officer. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. On the one directive, we just talked about a school resource officer about a year ago. Does council want to re-engage on that conversation? Because I'm not going to schedule it this particular year. Anybody else?
I mean, I'm always open to having discussions, like I said tonight. Even if we don't all agree, in my opinion, it's never a bad thing to discuss things, even if, like tonight, we couldn't all come to an agreement. I think discussion's never a bad thing, in my opinion.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. I don't see the support for that one. All right, Kara, Bud?
I think all the comments have been covered with the exception of welcoming Emily, Donna, and Jeff to their new positions for the city. We're glad to have them on board.
Very good. Jana?
Nothing else other than what everybody else has to say. I just wanted to say that as the Poquoson Museum liaison, I've gotten a chance to go to their meeting and get to know the people on the board, and it's been a real pleasure, and happy to see that they can have this event this year, and I'm looking forward to working with them and the board at the museum.
Okay, very good. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Just to add to the congratulations that other folks had started, our CERT team this past weekend in a competition with Norfolk, Virginia Beach, James City County, Gloucester, and Poquoson, our CERT team won first place in 5 of the events, second place in the 6th event, and were overall first place in the region CERT team. And they had various events with search and rescue and all other stuff where they apparently just excelled in every one of them. So congratulations. Volunteer organizations like that is what makes the city such a great place to live, and the CERT team is certainly one of them.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, and I never want to leave anybody else, but I believe from the high school that the girls' basketball team won the region, right? So I don't want to leave them out as far as mention as well. So lots of great things happening in our schools. Really, lots of good things happening in our community. Don't have anything else this evening, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded that we adjourn. Evie, please.
Councilwoman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Canella.
Aye.
Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilman Hucks.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, very well. We are adjourned.